Hey, so do you feel that you and your agent are lost in translation? What does lost in translation mean, you might ask yourself? Lost in translation means you really don't feel that this is going right. You're not really sure you trust your agent anymore. You're not really sure you're on the right path. You're not really sure your agent actually is proactively working for you and not the other party, right? You don't really know what to do and how to say it because you don't want to hurt their feelings. And so you're kind of lost. And oftentimes when this situation occurs, the communication is quite not the best. There's a lot of feelings from both sides, right? You know, because we obviously, as realtors, we feel you as well. So if there's something happening, you know, it's like, oh, I'm not really sure my agent is really getting me at this point. So, for example, right, I'm going to give you several examples to understand whether or not you feel like that, and feel free to drop some comments or, you know, let me know how you feel about this situation. So, for example, you put an offer on a house, and, you know, in North Carolina, putting an offer on a house has several steps once you're under contract, especially. Like when you place the offer, you, besides the listing price or besides the offer price, the due diligence time and the due diligence period, the earnest money, then the, you know, is it an initial earnest money? Is it an additional earnest money? When do you want to close? Do you want the home warranty? Do you want closing costs? All these things matter a lot, right? So what most people kind of don't really understand is that in North Carolina, the contract itself states that the house comes as is. So what that means is that you can definitely ask for the seller to repair anything that we're going to find in the inspection report that needs to be repaired or addressed. And as agents, we are there, and we are there to get you the repairs and to get you the money from the seller and all of that. But they don't have to do it legally. So the contract itself, and you have to go through the document with your agent, clearly states that the house comes as is. So a lot of people feel like oftentimes that they're not represented properly if the realtor is not getting them, you know, the money from the seller, or the realtor is not pushing enough to get some sort of repairs done from the seller, or a home warranty, or closing costs, or whatever the case is, right? So you guys might feel that you're not heard, and there's this like, whoa, my realtor doesn't really work for me. It seems like they work for the other party. Now, obviously, right, there's every single transaction is different. So it's not something that you can generalize, but I have to say in my career, I was often interviewed by people and asked whether or not, you know, I can represent them. And they told me all these stories about how they didn't feel that their communication with their previous realtor was the best, or they didn't feel that the other realtor did their very, very best to list their home properly, or didn't know how to price the home accordingly, or didn't stage it right, and all of these. So the main important thing that you really need to get from this video is that when you hire a realtor, whether for sellers, for selling your house, or for helping you purchase a house, there are several questions that you need to ask, and also they have to ask you several questions. So then when the situation occurs, you are already prepared, and you understand, right? You understand the documents already. You have been told from the beginning what each document means, what the process is. So you're not going into the process just, you know, all of a sudden you're under contract and you don't really know what you have signed when you signed the contract, or when you signed the buyer or the listing agreement documents. And it is very, very oftentimes seen by me that a lot of people do not know what they are signing. So please do yourself a favor, and when you interview an agent and you know that you're about to spend a lot of money, and this is a process, and your communication and your relationship with your realtor need to be like this. You need to be working like in a marriage. You need to trust your agent. You don't need to doubt your agent, and they don't need to doubt you, right? You just make sure that you know every step of the way, and make sure you tell them, can you please explain what this document says? What is this? You know, oftentimes people buy homes, for example, to build something in the back, and if your realtor doesn't explain from the get-go that you might want a survey to be done in that due diligence period, a lot of people just don't pay attention to surveys or to things that might actually really affect them in the future, right? Because if you do want to build something in the backyard, what if there's a pipeline there that is just, you know, you can't, you're not allowed to build? You know, what if there's an encroachment, like, you know, or easement or anything from the city? What if? And if you don't have the knowledge ahead of the time to understand that those things can happen, you might just go and find yourself under contract just because the communication between you and your realtor was not there in place in the beginning. So there's a lot of lost in translation from the get-go, and then you're trying to catch up, and then you're asking questions like, what is a due diligence again? And what is an earnest money again? And what happens now? And what, you know, and if the agent doesn't send you all these information in an email, structured for you to remember what you have discussed, then you have nothing to go back to, and you might just feel a little bit awkward to keep on asking questions, you know, which you, by the way, should do all the time. It doesn't matter, you know, if you feel a little awkward about asking questions, because obviously, you know, when you go to the dentist, you ask, you know, what are you going to do, and, you know, how are you going to do it? You kind of want to know, you know, but real estate transaction has so many steps, right? So it's a relationship for a period of time, and every single step needs to be properly explained and documented so you don't feel lost in translation. I hope you found this beneficial. See you on our next video.